Namaste, Jai Bharat. This is based on some reactions and comments that I received on the video that I made a couple of days ago on Keezhadi, the excavation site, which is about roughly less than 20 kilometers away from the city of Madurai in Tamil Nadu. There were a lot of political stories behind it, Actually, this should have been not controversial. There was no question of doubt as I understand things. Many wanted to say that the excavation site Keezhadi or Keezhadi, however you pronounce it, is predating the non-other civilization. They are targeting, they call it as Indus Valley, but it is actually not Indus Valley. The historians and the archaeologists have long understood that there is no question of Indus Valley, it is Saraswati Valley, if you say. Or, technically, the archaeologists have a convention of naming any site through or by the name of the first excavated site, which happens to be Harappa. So they, to be on the safe side, call it as Harappan civilization, where there should be no controversy. That's their perspective. But those who understand the Vedic Upanishadic knowledge tradition would definitely call it as Saraswati Valley civilization. Now there are many. I've seen many comments on this. There's someone who says that this is a kind of hegemony. That comment says that, and I wouldn't like to take names of anyone because we are a kind of society where everyone has a right to express their thoughts. That kind of freedom we have. So one's expression of thoughts is to him. Agreeing or disagreeing is up to the person who's listening to it. That's his conviction, his logic. Many people, different people can have a different opinion. So there's no point in taking the names because such opinions are normal in a pluralistic, multicultural society. It's not actually multicultural, unicultural with multi variations. That's how I understand the Bharatiya Sanskrit culture. It is one culture with many variations because there's a difference between roots and branch. If you talk about the Bharatiya Sanskriti, then it's based on a knowledge tradition. There's a difference between Sanskriti and culture. Culture is to be understood as refined human existence. But Sanskriti is refined human existence with two additional properties or attributes. One is that it's based on a knowledge tradition. Second is that this refined human existence, which in English is called as culture, has got a longing towards the transcendental. That is, longing towards the transcendental and based on a knowledge tradition, the two additional properties of a culture which makes it a Sanskriti in our context, Bharatiya context. So this distinction I make. People can agree with me or disagree. That's your choice. I've already told you that in a society, people have every individual is entitled to his own opinion. Doesn't make a difference. But my expression is my opinion, and that's it. Now, so once it is based on Sanskriti, which is one culture, one Sanskriti, but the Sanskriti has the character of multiplicity and plurality. That is, the question of multiplicity and plurality was long understood by the Vedic Rishis. And Vedic Rishis are not exclusively North. Some people in some part of the nation, especially in Tamil Nadu area, some people, not all, treat it as the outside alien, but that's not the case. If you go really and seriously and honestly look at the history of Bharat, such gives and takes, interaction with people has been always the case for time that we can't place. It's very remote in time. We can't place. The carbon datings won't go to that extent. So you do not know that your ancestors originally came from which part of Bharat. It's difficult to place. Of course, there's one method of placing, one attempt to understand the roots possible is to look for the Gotra. That also doesn't show anything conclusively. It only indicates. It only indicates that it could be. So the point which I am trying to make is that no one had been original to any place in a continuous period more than 200 years or 250 years, or even at the most 500 years. Our people have been interacting with one another, going from this place, that place, that place, this place. So let's not say that because of the language that I speak, I am exclusive to one place. That is that will not be that will be unrealistic. So this another dimension somebody was adding. Another comment says, which of course I knew, but he did want to speak about. He says that the Dravidian politics per se, the MG party, etc., they have got a strong Christian dimension, missionary dimension. That someone was suggesting. This is a comment I had. As I told you, I would tell the names. Someone was suggesting there's a possibility Christian dimension. All right. They of course would not want to have any link to the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition, because for their religious reasons and purposes which are very peripheral, actually peripheral in the sense not very deep. They simply wanted to get people more converted into their fold for the numbers, or slowly for some kind of authorities or political games which has a limit and which this cannot go beyond a limit. So that's one suggestion I found, which I'm inclined to agree. As I told you, I won't take the names of people. And somebody says in another comment that this is why should you coexist. No, I was mentioning about the epistemology of coexistence. That is the Veda-Upanishadic epistemology of coexistence. I was suggesting or trying to quote, no, I didn't quote, I was just telling the last sukta of Rig Veda. Rig Veda has got 10 mandalas, and the 10th mandala's last sukta explicitly asks people to be unite. Stay unite, unified be your thoughts and unified be your actions and all those things. Sangachattum samvadatam, right? You can read it. You can go through and get the meaning in whichever language you want. Possibly this translations must be available. So that aspect of Rig Veda I was suggesting, which asks for the unity of the multiple and plural. Multiplicity and plurality as a nature of nature was understood by our ancestors. I would definitely say our ancestors, including you, because you are not different from me. You are not different from me. We belong to the same fold. Ultimately, whatever language we speak, our language is evolved much later. Obviously, and of course, there is no doubt about the antiquity of Tamil language, because Tamil is the oldest living language. And as I understand, Malayalam is the youngest language in our Bharati knowledge tradition, in our land. But we have been one. See, those who are doing Agnihotra would understand this mantra. Before doing Agnihotra, you say your address, you tell your name, you say Jambudvibe, from Jambudvibe, Bharatavarsha. Then suppose you're from south, Dakshinabadha, so and so's son, so and so is doing this, requesting Agni to carry this and hand it over to so and so. That's the procedure. That's how we do yaga. So this Jambudvipa is there, which of course is supposed to be between Kanyakumari and Australia. So where do you think that South is excluded in the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition? Don't you think that's a self-alienating thinking? For political reasons, people should do all those things. They do. Let's ignore it, because that's political reason. But for the sake of knowing and finding out your ancestry, this, if you say, it becomes suicidal. We are not different, no matter from which part you are. Your particular Gotra, you may be living in Kanyakumari, but yet you may belong to a Gotra which is originated in eastern UP. These possibilities are there. Anyway, coming to the point. So Keezhadi is undoubtedly a Vedic site. It has to be a Vedic site because Vedic sites are spread in our knowing throughout Bharat. Till about 10 years before, we did not get such deeper, we did not have such deeper and meticulous archaeological excavation beyond the river Tapi, that's bordering Maharashtra and Gujarat. South could not be excavated. It's not possible that you cannot go and dig Varanasi. You cannot go and dig about Varanasi because Varanasi is the oldest city in the history of mankind. We don't know how many sets of civilizations were in Kashi. Similarly, in the south, you can't just go about excavating everywhere until you get some evidences in a place which has the plausibility of getting excavated. So it happened much later. It's not the case. It's not that there are no sites, but the point is there are no excavated sites. We know that we still have many sites to get excavated in Bharat. Many sites, east, west, north, south, everywhere. But north, of course, is sealed, set. It's only up to the river Sindhu. Beyond that, to the north of Sindhu, no excavation. No sites were found, which evidently says it's not Sindhu civilization. It can't be Indus civilization, because if it is Sindhu civilization, settlement should have been on either side of the river. But that's not the case. You only find to the south. Whereas, when you understand Saraswati's time and the flowing of Saraswati, if just because you do not see Saraswati now, you can't say that this river did not exist. Saraswati surfaces at many places. The scientists say that there is something called as Gupta Saraswati, the Saraswati that flows underground. And there are places where it surfaces. And wherever Saraswati river surfaces, that is a Triveni. And that's the holy place. Many points we find in Bharat. Here in Gujarat, there is a place called as Chano. Only two rivers meet, but they call it as Triveni. Third is Gupta Saraswati. And believe it or not, you just go to the river. One river is Narmada, and they say in Hindi, in Narmada, Kanna Shankar Bhagavan, because each drop of water is Shivaji, Shankar Bhagavan. That's how people understand it. And two rivers meeting, and the meeting point is very precisely known. See, when you go there to do some kind of offer to the Devi Narmada, you see that water bubbling up in that area. It comes out as bubbles. You can see it and watch it. That bubbling up is surfacing of Saraswati. That's what the archaeologists say. I have some very good friends in the Department of Archaeology who, of course, told me several things. So, the Saraswati do exist, and it surfaces as many places. You just look at the holy places on the belt of Saraswati. All these places you at least assume that Saraswati is getting surfaced. Open to debate. That's all right, but that's the belief. So on either side of river Saraswati, the settlements were spread, and the narrative says that, of course, this is a study of Michel, I've told you. He says there are physically 2,500 sites in 3 time stages, and it goes to 3,700 plus, and we do not know how many sites are there yet to be excavated, and it may be in more sites in the southern part, much more sites, and maybe much more there because of the intensity of population. Definitely, if you accept Saraswati as the Veda knowledge tradition based civilization, then on either side of Saraswati these settlements are there, more intense. 60% of the sites are in today's Gujarat, as it is suggested, and then it will spread. And with the change of climate, with the drying of Saraswati and the climate turning into arid climate, people moved out. Then, of course, go into even Gauda Desha. And if people will go to Gauda Desha, they would easily reach up to south. And there must have settlement. Probably during the Vedic period itself, the settlements can move. If there is one settlement in Harappa and another one in Dholavira, look at the difference in this. Then, of course, Kalibagan. And Lothal, of course, Dholavira and Lothal is not that far flung. Of course, it is one night's journey from Lothal to Dholavira. These settlements are spread in a vast area, And definitely South can't be excluded in spite of the fact that we don't have evidences, because the excavations could not happen there somehow, not wantingly. Uh, Excavations are always based on accidental discoveries and finding where population density is less. But south population density is intense, and more the townships were already built up, and you don't find much chances to get evidences for excavation. That too, evidences, if it surfaces, should go to the right hand. A person who doesn't know anything about it will ignore a piece of stone and something written, then it doesn't make any sense to him, so he will ignore. When it goes in the hands of someone who is interested in this area, an archaeologist, or at least a historian, or at least a philosopher, he would think about it. And if it's a case of philosopher, he is not technically trained in archaeology or excavations, he would consult his friend, an archaeologist, and they would discuss and find out things. So the suggestions of people are divided in opinions. I made this. I'm making this video because on the basis of comments. The few points I will repeat. One, the involvement of missionaries, very zealous people. They used to be missionaries, at least in the past. The involvement of missionaries in patterning opinions against the Vedic Dharma for their convenience and purpose. This is one point. Second, somebody, of course, is blindly disagreeing, saying that togetherness is not required. But togetherness is unity, and strength I need to explain. People should understand it. That's precisely what the Rigveda suggests. And understanding multiplicity and plurality as the truth, that's the nature of nature. We look at the many mantras of Veda Upanishad knowledge tradition. They would talk about coexistence in the multiple and plural, not only with living beings, but with living, animate, inanimate, all those things. That Shanti Mantra of Upanishad, which addresses every aspect of the cosmos. Once our ancestors could make that particular Shanti Mantra in the Upanishads, which addresses every aspect of the cosmos, which is Dyauha Shanti, Vanaspati Shanti, Apa Shanti, Aushadha, some of the sequence, of course, I am not getting it correctly, and finally Samam Shanti Devi. So the offering is directed to every aspect of the cosmos. And look at Bharati knowledge tradition and just think, just do this exercise as a final point. I would say that Bharati knowledge tradition is a complete knowledge tradition where no area or aspect of knowledge is left out. We have a knowledge tradition which is expert into all possible areas of knowledge traditions, which is suggestive that other civilizations outside, be it Egyptians, Sumerians, or the Incas and the Aztecs, anyway, they have come to Bharat and studied it one time. And they've learned an area from here and gone. But none of them have got this complete totality of knowledge tradition, which goes into every aspect of possibly knowledge, which can be explored by human. They have not only gone into it in study, they went to the possible maximum limit in exploration. If you remember, at one point in time in Bharat had about 7 lakhs universities spread all over Bharat, where people used to come from all places from the world, where those searchers of knowledge used to come from all parts of the world, study here and go back. And when they go back, they carry knowledge. And those scholars who carry knowledge to their own societies would work on it further and expand it to newer directions. I understand that's how the world civilization came into existence, but they are all post-Vedic civilizations. This possibility I'm just putting in front. I'm not vouching and claiming an archaeological evidences. I don't have, but I use logic and speculation to speak this, which is suggestive for people to go forward. No conclusion is given. Like the Vedas, the Veda Upanishad knowledge tradition teaches us that there is no end point in knowledge. There is no end point in everything. Everything is dynamic and is continuously ongoing and happening through evolutionary process. We have a theory of evolution. If you look at the Upanishads, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, all those things too, even Anandamaya Kosha. That's suggestive of the understanding of evolution in ancient Bharat. So we have a knowledge tradition, and our Sanskrit is based on knowledge tradition. Our settlements, so many in number, yet unexplored, must be more so in number, are based on this knowledge tradition, and a Sanskriti is evolved from the knowledge tradition, which later goes into transcendental longing, which develops into all kinds of transcendental philosophical thinking. So the point is that it's absurd to claim exclusiveness to one settlement. Language is a local affair. Language is always a local affair. The same mother tongue that you speak has got variations in a given area. The same mother tongue people speak differently in different areas, different pockets. The same people in the same house would speak differently. You don't focus on difference. When you focus on difference, you will go to the infinite regress. Simple example is that you look at your two eyes; they are not same. Two hands not same. If you try to read into differences, you will find differences. But if you read in the unity, you will find in the ultimate reach an ultimate unifying principle, both philosophically and also empirically in Bharat. So anyone who thinks in terms of differences, we shall go to infinite regress. It's an initiative to disintegrating oneself. And that's we can't afford in our nation, which has a history and understanding and knowledge tradition of understanding multiplicity and plurality and as variations of one reality. They are not different. Specificities are not different. They are variations of one thing. So Keezhadi, if you claim as exclusively Tamil, that's inappropriate. That's not right. It's a part of the Vedic civilization. And someone was suggesting it's a hegemony. Who want hegemony? Hegemony is a coin expressed by Antonio Gramsci in that book, if I am not wrong, Prison Notes translated, Quaderni originally in Italian. Actually, his mother tongue was Sardinian. Gramsci's, he is not Italian, his mother tongue is Sardinian, and he was insisting his wife to teach his son Sardinian language instead of Italian. So Gramsci has coined the expression hegemony after the theory of ideology, starting with Francis Bacon and Machiavelli. So the hegemony is a concept. I don't know how people use it. Hegemony could be understood as intellectual reception for social domination. Now, which domination anyone does want to do in this context? You accuse a Hindu domination, implied Brahmanic domination. Brahmana is a quality concept. When you understand that Brahmana is a quality concept, contradictions will vanish from your mind. Let's escape from the caste concept into quality concept. That's the Vanda. That's what the Varnashrama is all about. So let's understand that there is no exclusive separateness in Keezhadi. It's a part of the Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition. It's part of the Vedic system. It's a part of the Saraswati Valley civilization. It's not different. Today, I've seen some people suggesting everyone, all those are Hindus. Of course, we can say that they're Hindus from this point in time. Those days, no one used to call themselves as Hindus. At the most, they will call us Sanatani or Dharma. You have no objection to the concept of Dharma, I'm sure. If you translate it into English, at least roughly, it becomes righteousness. I don't know how appropriate the translation shall be, but there's no other way. So, let's not go into separatism. Let's talk about coexistence, because it's coexistence is for your existence, your sake, and for a tomorrow's generation. Do something for your future generation, as the ancestors did so many things for us. There is a definite amount of indebtedness to our ancestors, our Sanskriti, and the scholars who lived above us, before us. We shall meet again with some other thought. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.